Well, hello and welcome. In this lesson, we're going to show you the timesheet application. So I'll showcase the functionality of how to use it. When you open up the timesheet application, the first thing you'll see is a login screen right here. This login screen has four roles: admin, IT, human resources, and security. I'm going to add login as the admin. Put in the password. Let's continue. So when I did that, I landed on the time card screen. Now the admin has access to these other screens as well. So payroll, purchase, training, and admin. Now if I logged in as IT, I would get only three screens: time card, IT equipment, and training. So this application is role based. So I'll show you how I set that up. So if we go into the continue button, you can see I have a switch statement that looks at each of the four roles with the different passwords for each role. Whenever somebody logs into the application, they all will land on the time card screen initially. So it acts as the time card screen acts as a landing page. Now, if I go to the time card screen, you can see if I go to on visible, let me zoom in. Each of the other screens have the same on visible property. So I logged in as IT, so I get three screens under IT, which are time card, IT equipment, and training. All right, let me delete that. So I'm gonna walk you through how this time card screen works. So it has the title, time card screen, which is a part of a component. It has the footer. It has the navigations for the other screens. At the top here, it has an option for the user to select the work week. So right now, by default, it's selected for January 2nd, 2023 to January 8th, 2023. These dates here run across for that particular week that's selected in the dropdown. So if I choose the second week, notice that the dates here change accordingly. I selected the third week, and we have the days for the third week. Now, if I needed to add a week to this list, there's a button here. I press this button. Now it adds the additional week here. Now, how I set that up, if I go to the on select property of that button, I'm using the patch function that looks at a SharePoint list called TBL underscore calendar. And it's looking at or passing values into the week column, the start date, the end date, and the work week. So let me go to that SharePoint list and show you how it looks. So TBL underscore time card or TBL underscore calendar. Here's the SharePoint list. So weeks 1 through 6, the start date, end date, work week. So this column right here, this work week column at the end is what that drop down is looking at. And this work week column, if we go to the classic, so I'm in the settings of the SharePoint list. If I go to work week, notice here it's a calculated field. So it looks at the start date column, combines the start date column and the end date column and builds a column off of this. All right. Let's go back to here. Now we're in Power Apps. Now notice here, it's looking at a gallery called Gallery 1. I'll show you where that is. There's a screen 1 here. Well, helper screen. In the helper screen, this is Gallery 1 right here. See, Gallery 1. And so that button that adds the work weeks is looking at this gallery and it's looking at the last row, which in this case is February 6, 2023 to February 12, 2023. So it looks at the last row, which is the last function right here. And it simply adds 7 days to that last date for the start date and 7 days added to the end date and creates the new row for the work week. All right, moving along. Let's add a line here. This will add a row. So let's start typing some information in here. This employee dropdown comes from a SharePoint list called employee. Let me delete that one. So it has these 6 records showing the employee's name, city, state, position, and supervisor. So I can select one of those employees from that SharePoint list. Notice here, it does a lookup to find that employee supervisor, which is coming from this column right here in the SharePoint list. Now, when I select the billing, I can choose regular, sick leave, vacation, leave without pay, or holiday. That list is coming from a SharePoint list called TBL_billing. So how this works is if I select regular, notice that the time for the boxes or the hours for the boxes are grayed out. This means that I have to press the T button in order to put hours in for these blocks. When I do that, a dialog box appears showing the employee's name. In this scenario, it's Gordon Mitchell right here. So today is Friday. So let's say that Gordon Mitchell worked from 5:30, took lunch at 12, came back at 12:30, and he left work at 1600, which is 4 o'clock. So that gives you a total of 10 hours worked. When I press the insert button, it will put those 10 hours for Friday right here and calculate the total hours for that week. Let's put time in for Wednesday as well. Let's do the same hours. Now we have 10 hours for Wednesday, 10 hours for Friday for a total of 20 hours. Now what happened here in SharePoint, it's saving those two entries are already saved in SharePoint when we press that insert button. Now, let's say that the same person, Gordon Mitchell, let's say he did sick leave for Monday. So 5 hours of sick leave, 5 hours sick leave for Tuesday. And leave without pay for Thursday. So this gives him a total of 40 hours for the week. Now the first row, we've seen on the first row, it's already saved in SharePoint. So this save icon, what it's going to do is it's going to save rows 2 and 3 only. So if I go into, I didn't mean to press it twice. So it would look like this. We go into the code for the save button. I'm using a for all, looking at the timesheet gallery, and I have a if statement. So this if statement looks at the billing dropdown, and if it's sick leave, vacation, leave without pay, or holiday, it's going to save that information in here. Because remember, regular hours were already saved in the time entry dialog. So that's how you can set that up. This plus button here, if I click it, I can add a new employee that's not in that list. So I can put Daniel Jones, Bud Evans as a supervisor. I press save. Now Daniel Jones and Bud Evans have been added to that SharePoint list.